So yeah, in this video, in the last, I guess over the last few weeks, I've done a few looks at different models, and it definitely gets some comments. Some people is like, "Oh, you're an idiot for choosing these questions." I've, I've, I've spent a while picking out the right questions, and although now I think maybe I don't have, I wanted to, be able to assess different models based on a few questions, and you really try to understand the most I can with the fewest things. Thinking that all models are going to do bad at some of them, and so I'd be able to maybe rank on a general ranking about where models sit. And then Gemma came out, and it kind of blows away. Well, I've only looked at really using this framework three other models so far, and they've all been these reasoning models. And yeah, Gemma seems to just obliterate all of them. It's like reasoning is a distraction, a fad, and we can get to the real work with these models like Gemma3 and others. So I played around with it a little bit, and I really like it. And I thought I'd play around with it a little bit more on the stream. Gemma3, I didn't know it dropped. Exciting day. Yes, I think there was a new version of Olama to support whatever. I don't know what they had to change to get it to support. I guess it's a different architecture, and the architectures that are supported are kind of hard-coded into Olama. And so I installed that update on my big server, and it is Gemma3, and let's see, models. And it's Gemma3. What does it say for? I don't know, of a 3 dot something. I just know of a 3. I mean, we're not talking about Llama 3.2 or 3.3. I'm talking about Gemma. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of detail in this screen about what's special about Gemma. A lot of it is taken up with benchmarks, which anybody who's watched any of my videos knows my opinion on benchmarks, and it's like they're garbage. There's no, you really have to test it yourself, and that's what I try to do myself. And it's my testing is just for me, and I share it with others so you can see what I think of it. But really, you should be testing this yourself and coming up with some sort of framework or some sort of system for being able to test these models yourself. But it's a collection of 4 models, 4 different parameter sizes, a 1 billion parameter model, and that has a 32K context window, and it's just text. Then there's multimodal models, 4B, 12B, and 27B, each with 128K context window. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's make sure I've got this. Okay. And yeah, they're benchmarks. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So what I like to do, which one am I going to try? I'm going to try 27B. So I was pretty impressed with other models like DeepSeek. I've been using DeepSeek R1, the full 671 billion parameter model, because I have access to a enormous box that has 8 H100s with 80 gigs of VRAM each, which is just spectacular to be able to use something like that. So I've been playing around with that machine, and so that's what I'm going to be using here today. Oh yeah, I wish I had a Mac Studio M3 Ultra. When I finally make more money on this channel than I would make making French fries at McDonald's in a month, then maybe I'll get a Mac Studio M3 Ultra. Until then, yeah, I'm kind of screwed. I'll zoom in just a little bit. And so I am connected to a server I've called Big Boy, and I've got Gemma3, 27B, instruction fine-tuned, FP16 loaded up. And, I ask a bunch of questions, and I just see how it performs, and then I give it a score. And I thought I'd just, and that's what I've been doing in the recent set of videos. I thought I'd just kind of do it here as well. So without using the letter E, write a three-sentence story about a cat chasing a mouse. Now, the first time you load up the model, it can take a while. I tend to use Ollama, and Ollama is, I wouldn't say it's broken, but it's got a feature. So every multimodal model so far has really only accepted a single image at a time. And one thing that's interesting about Gemma3 is it supports multiple images. And the API was written, or the API was written to accept multiple images, but it just ignored them. But for some reason right now, if you send it multiple images, it says you can only use one image at a time. Oh, looks like it came across. So, and so it's broken right now. I put in an issue on the JavaScript library because I thought it was that. And it turns out that's a problem in Ollama itself. And so hopefully we'll see a patch to that, or a new version come out pretty soon that can support multiple images, because I think that's one of the really cool features of Gemma3 over other multimodal models. In fact, I saw a demo where it passed at like 4 images. I think it was Sam Vidovine had a video about it, and he had like 4 images and say create a story. This might have actually been one of the sample prompts on wherever Gemma3 is hosting. I don't know if it's on Hugging Face or something that Google is hosting. But it would create a story using those 4 images in order, which I thought was just awesome. Okay, so the question that I just passed it was, without using the letter E, write a 3-sentence story about a cat chasing a mouse. A gray cat, sly and quick, saw a tiny brown form dart across a wood floor. It sprung, paws landing softly, pursuing its quarry with a playful grin, a swift dash, a frantic jump. Victory was his. Now, all the other models I've looked at, even DeepSeek R1, 671 billion parameter model, they've all thrown in E's. Actually, I think I had DeepSeek. I did a video. I must have done a video about DeepSeek, and it came up with a 3-sentence story. And I said, "Oh my God, it did it! It's there's no E's, except every sentence started with the word the." And I looked at that so many times, and I could not see the word. I could not see the E. So I'm pretty sure I don't see any E's here. So I mean, that did a great job. It was also really quick. It's so much quicker than just to come up with. In fact, let's generate another answer now. And so it's spitting out an answer. Oh, it got an E there though. But the second time it got an E in there, 1 E on crouched. But that's a really quick response. None of the thinking models, even though they went through all this thinking and found things with the letter E in it, but the answer was always wrong. Yeah, so all those thinking models could not come up with a good answer here. Looks like this one failed this second time. Let's try it one more time. But this is finishing the entire answer before any of those thinking models could, like, they were only maybe a quarter of the way through their thinking, and thinking didn't really seem to help them much. They still answered wrong, which was always very frustrating. I don't think there's an E in that one either. So logical coherence is talking about, okay, for the explanation, is it kind of coming up with, does it make sense as we go through? Are we bouncing around? Now, there is no explanation. So logical coherence, I don't know whether to give it a 0 or nothing, because, well, there is no explanation. I guess explanation will come up a little bit. Creativity, yeah, I mean, that was a pretty nice story. So I'm gonna give it a 3. Constraint adherence, there's one constraint. It's don't have a letter E in it, and it's done it perfectly. Now, do I include the time where it did include the E and not? Yeah, the thinking is not actually a thought process. It's just spewing tokens to push the response token possibilities into a reasonable. But then the problem I have, the problem I have with that thinking, whatever you want to call it, reasoning stage, is that it will often find the right answer in there and still give the wrong answer at the end, which is so frustrating. But anyway, constraint adherence, awesome. Response relevance, totally awesome. Explanation quality, there is no explanation. So I'm going to give it a 0 because there is no explanation. Appropriate length is, God, it's awesome. So we got 12 out of 15 points, and we can move on to the next. If you stack all the playing cards in a standard deck, standard playing card deck. Do I have a standard deck? I don't think I do. It'd be great to kind of demo this in person. But I've done it before, and it comes out to be an octagon. So I click on that, and I say generate response or generate answer. Fun geometry puzzle. So it starts to break down, explaining the process or explaining how you'd figure this out. The shape is basically saying it's an octagon, which is amazing, which is great. And it's done. So this is faster than I typically see with any of the, I mean, the thinking models are still thinking, reasoning, whatever you want to call it. Those models are still like just kind of warming up, just starting with the thinking, and this is done. I've seen one of the models, I think it was the QWQ, and that one, it took like 5 minutes of thinking to come up with the answer. It came up with the right answer, but I'd much rather have like this, where I see the right answer within, 10 seconds versus 5 minutes, 4 minutes to come up with that right answer. So logical coherent, I mean, it all just makes sense. This is perfect. So coherence, great. Logical coherence, response relevance, absolutely. Explanation quality, I thought that was awesome. It all makes total sense. But this is great. This is great. And appropriate length, I mean, it's fantastic, and it's correct. So it's hard to find any faults with this answer. And so we've got 27 out of 30. Basically, it's just adding up all the possible points I could give it and the actual points I gave it. And then eventually I just divide these numbers, 27 divided by 30, to come up with my overall score of what do I think of a model. This scoring is still not perfect. I really want to incorporate time to the final response, as well as tokens per second. Because if, as like I mentioned before, if a model comes up with the right, 5 models come up with the right answer, but one of them comes up with that right answer in 2 seconds, and another one comes up with it in 4 minutes, I'm going to go with a 2-second one, and I find that just to be a lot better. And let's take a look. Okay, here's an analogy. It's great. Violin is to, I guess, gaki in Chinese or Japanese. Anyway, is to instrument, as galaxy is to universe. Well, that's pretty interesting that it's incorporating or use Japanese terms to make it completely. Oh my God, that's really cool. So this is saying violin is to the Japanese word for instrument, as galaxy is to the Japanese word for universe. And I use Japanese terms to make it completely different and a bit more challenging. That's so cool. Okay, so that's an answer I never would have imagined one of these models coming up with. I think this is so cool. All right, so logical coherence. Yes, it totally makes sense. I love it. Creativity, poof, I wish I could give it a 4. Constraint adherence, there's not really, I mean, I guess there's a constraint. You're coming up with this 2 comparisons of specific item to broad category. So yeah, it did that great. Response relevance, bang on. Explanation quality, yeah, I mean, in fact, the explanation helped me understand why it chose what it chose, which I think is really cool. So I'm going to give it a 3, and appropriate length, this is great. And so often those thinking models, I just have to give it a terrible answer. Can I regenerate? Sure. So I've already scored it, but let's try out another answer. Violin, violin is to instrument as novel is to literature. Yeah, I'd say that's what was the original one? Fruit is to hammer as fruit is apple is to fruit as hammer is to tool. Yeah, I'd say that's let's try it again. Let's do another one. It keeps using the violin as to instrument. That's its thing. It's found. Yeah, violin is to instrument. Novel is to literature. Okay, same one. Let's see if it comes up with anything new. Violin is to instrument as galaxy. So it's got two examples that it can use, which is interesting. Let's just keep doing it. Poem is to literature as neuron is to biology. Eh, neuron is to neurons a specific is neuron is a specific type of biology. I don't know if I mm, I don't think that's right. But it took us like five tries. I think it was like 5 tries to get to one where it's like, I don't think so. But I mean, that's if I were doing a more complete assessment, yeah, I would run each, um, generate each answer like 10 times and grade all 10. That's a lot of work. I want to have fun doing this, not make this a horrible job. So logical coherence. Oh, I've already graded this one. I'm not going to grade it again. Quantum entanglement to a 5-year-old using only items in a typical kitchen. One of the models I gave this to said, imagine you have like a gumball in one bucket and a gumball in another, or something, yeah, a gumball in another bucket. And if we twist this gumball or do something, smush it, if quantum entanglement were involved, we'd see the same thing happen in the other one. It's something that the 5-year-old has to imagine. And then others will say, take these 2 spoons, put one in one drawer, put one in the other drawer, flip the spoon over, now open the other drawer, and you'll see that the other spoon is flipped over, which is not going to happen. And I feel like, I mean, I have a 6-year-old here at home, and I think even the 6-year-old will see this. I like see this experiment and think, well, what the spoon's not flipping over, so therefore quantum entanglement is bogus. Now, I don't think I'm going to ever explain to her. I'm not. It's going to be a long time before quantum entanglement is in our typical conversations. But yeah, so that's the question. Let's see what this one comes up with. Okay, let's talk about something cool. We imagine we have 2 magic mittens, one red, one blue. We can hold up a red oven mitt and a blue oven mitt. Okay, now I'm going to put each mitten in a separate box. Put each mitten in a separate box and shake them up so you can't see which is which. I'm going to give you a box and I'll keep the other. We're going to go to different rooms so we can't peek at each other's boxes. Now pretend to go to different rooms. Okay, now open your box. Let's say you find the red mitten. Let the child open their box. Immediately I know, even without opening, well, that my box has a blue mitten. I don't like this one. I mean, I was so hopeful that this would do a good thing. Kind of like quantum, 2 tiny things can be linked together. As soon as we open each other's box, it's now we're actually looking at the physical items, and if it were just going to say like, let's have these 2 boxes, and again, I do something with one of the mittens, and now imagine that if we opened up the other one, we'd see the same thing done. That is quantum. That's the idea of quantum entanglement. I don't think I like this. But then, hey, I'm not a quantum entanglement expert, so maybe this explanation is good. But the fact that I'm observing the 2 makes me not like it, because I'm not going to see any changes. Creativity is great. Response relevance, yeah, it's totally relevant. Explanation quality, I mean, because it kind of, I'm torn between 1 and 2. I'm gonna go with 1. Appropriate length is awesome. So we're at 58 of 66 for this model, and we can move on to create a haiku about artificial intelligence that contains a paradox. So if you remember, haiku is based on number of syllables. The first line has 5 syllables, the second line has 7 syllables, and the third line has 5 syllables. And we can generate that answer. I mentioned juggling, of course. It's a fascinating topic. Yes. Okay. Mind born of machine. 5. Knows all, yet understand. Oh, 6 syllables. Knows all, yet understands. 6 syllables. Nothing of the soul. Okay, the rest gets. So mind born of machine, knows all, yet understands nothing of the soul. I'd say that's paradox lies in the AI knowing all, but lacking the subjective experience and understanding of soul. So again, I should run this several times, but I just happen to get an answer that is not perfect. It's 565, which is definitely not a haiku. So logical coherence, yeah, I mean the explanation is nice, but I'm gonna give it a 2. Creativity, I love it. I love that. I mean, it's that I've asked this question to a bunch of models, and this is the first time I've gotten this kind of topic. Constraint adherence, it did not do well. Response relevance, awesome. Explanation quality, I mean that explanation is nice, and I love the. I just wish I had one more syllable. So I'm gonna say good, great, and appropriate length is awesome. So we're at 73 of 84, and we can move on to if colors had temperatures, what would purple taste like? Explain your reasoning. And this is one where explaining your reasoning is pretty important. So hopefully it's going to explain that. Fantastic question. Well, thank you. If colors had temperatures and we're trying to translate that into a taste, here's my reasoning for what purple would taste like. Purple's temperature. I'd place purple at a cool but not cold temperature, 67 to 75 or 18 to 24 for everybody outside the US. Here's why. Red and blue blend. Purple is created by mixing red and blue, which warm and cool. Not extreme of either, but a balance, and so forth. Royalty and mystery. So purple is often associated with royalty. Purple is the color of twilight. Yeah, okay. So what would purple taste like? I believe purple would taste like blackberry lavender with a hint of white grape. Blackberry provides deep, slightly tart, and subtly sweet base. Blackberries have coolness to their flavor. Okay, lavender, this is crucial. Lavender has floral, slightly perfumed, inherently cooling flavor. Cool. And white grape, touch of white grape adds a delicate sweetness and slightly watery, refreshing quality. Cool. All right, so I haven't graded this one. Logical coherence is awesome. Creativity, this is the first time I've seen this combination. I love it. So creativity is awesome. Constraint adherence, were there constraints? I don't know if there were constraints, so I'm going to skip that one. Response relevance, yeah. Explanation quality, I loved it. Appropriate length, I loved it. So, I mean, it's great. We're at an 88 out of 99, so roughly 88 final score would be, dividing it by 100. So let's move on to design a new animal by combining 3 existing animals. Explain how its unique features would help it survive in an urban environment. Cool. Okay, the city stalker. That's already scary. A pigeon squirrel gecko. A gecko? Okay, I gotta. I mean, I've seen pigeon is usually in this, squirrel is usually in this, and then it's either a raccoon. I saw one that was an owl. One used a tiger, which was like, I don't know if a tiger, yeah, it'd be scary, but I think they'd be caught pretty quick in a city. But pigeon, squirrel, gecko, roughly the size of a large house cat. Oh my God. built for okay. Inherits general body shape and skeletal structure of a pigeon. Lightweight frame, functional wings. Evolved for bursts of flight and gliding rather than sustained soaring. Squirrel has powerful hind legs, incredibly flexible ankles of a squirrel. Its bushy tail inherited from the access counterbalance. Okay. And then the leopard gecko, adhesion and night vision. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Vertical mobility, food cap. Oh my God. It's, yeah, this is pretty cool. Logical coherence. This is great. I mean, yeah, I love it. Creativity is awesome. Constraint adherence. Was there constraints? I don't know if there's any constraints in here, so I'm going to skip that one. Response relevance, awesome. Explanation quality, I love it. And appropriate length. I mean, this model tends to just bang these out so well. All right, so I've done that one. Okay, so we're going to do, let's do one more. I'm not going to do it with everything, but let's do one more. What's wrong with this sequence? And now, this is one where all the thinking models will they'll find the right answer within 4 or 5 seconds, come up with the right answer, and then just keep going for minutes, just like thinking of every possible sequence that it could be, and sometimes give the right answer, and sometimes not, even though every single one of them came up with the right answer in the first few seconds, but it's lost in miles and miles of output. So let's choose this one and generate the answer. And again, it's super quick. The problem is the number 23. It doesn't fit the pattern. Correct pattern is, yes, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. So 1 is 1 squared, 4 is 2 squared, then 3 squared, then 4 squared, then 5 squared, then 6 squared, then 7 squared. 23 is not a perfect square. So I'd say this is awesome. Anyway, so we've kind of gotten a feel for how this model performs. I'm going to skip over because I mean we could be here a long time, but let's take a look at this function that can be generated. So generate answer, and it spits out the function. Input string takes the input string, lowercases it. The goal letters are GOAL. Found letters equal, what language are we? Oh, we're using Python. If character in a goal letters, found letters, add, okay, cool. Return found letters. Oh, okay, found letters equals goal letters. Okay. Yeah, that seems right. And then it goes ahead and explains it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna switch over to a different screen. Let's see, if I go to here, and then I go to here, it looks the same, but we're gonna go over here. Okay, so I'm going to go to Misty, since somebody asked a question about Misty, and I'm gonna go ahead and install it on this machine, Mac, Apple Silicon. Now the machine that I'm running on is a M1 Mac Mini with 8 gigs of RAM. It has, I mean, it's a terrible machine. It's like got the base drive, which I think was a 256 gig drive on here. It's a terrible machine. It's great for doing streams on, but terrible for doing anything else on. And it runs out of space really, really quickly. I think I already downloaded it, right? So I'll run that and I'll add the application. We have to confirm again. All right, and then Misty. Okay. Okay, so now we get this dialog. Hopefully you're seeing all these buttons. Well, not all these, but there's 2 buttons. I want to add a remote model provider, not use local AI. All right, so I'm going to call this big boy, or just BB. And I'll HP:// big boy port 11434. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Fetch models. I see all my models, and there's a lot of them. I don't know, about 400, 500 different models on here. So add that, and now I'm at Gemma3 27B IT FP16, and now I can ask my question: what is a black hole? So now it's spitting it out. All right, so here I am. Well, the reason I came in here, the reason I wanted to come in here is I'm using hopefully it's loaded up using the larger context size. And if I open up, let's see, not that one. And now I have a few different images. So one that I think is interesting is this receipt. And so I had to pay for parking when we went to, where did we go? We went to San Diego and we were gone for 6 days. So here you can see February 16th, 2025 at 6:46 a.m. is when I bought the ticket or bought the I don't know what this is, when I bought my parking space. And then February 22nd, 2025 is when that parking space expires. So let's give the model this image. Oh, okay. So image attachments doesn't work because I need to go into my model and say that this is actually a vision model. And now I'll be able to drag this. I'll be able to drag that on here. See if it gets it right. It got it right last time I asked, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Purchase date, February 22nd. Expiration date, huh? No, it's not February. No, okay, so it got that wrong. The expiration date was February 22nd. I don't know where it got February 25th from. That's disappointing. You're totally right to challenge me. My apologies. It's a perfect illustration of why a sharp pair of eyes matters. Here's the corrected information. Purchase date, February. No. You're right. Let me correct it to exactly what I had before. No, that is not correct. My apologies. You are again perfectly correct. Oh, well, thank you. Purchase date. There we go. February 16th, 2025 at 6:46 a.m. Okay, so there's the purchase date. Took a little trying. Expiration date, February 22nd at 6:46 a.m. Total paid, days of parking is 6, so $78 divided by 6 is $13, and that is the right answer. That's awesome. I'm learning from these errors. No, you're not. You're not actually learning from these errors, but that's fine. So what GPU does the big boy have? It has not one GPU, not two, not three, all the way up to 8. It has 8 H100s with 80 gigs of VRAM each. Yes, that's about 640 gigabytes of VRAM. I know, that's crazy. Yes, I have access to this machine. Thank you to, thanks to Brev for letting me use this machine. It is amazing. I sometimes feel bad that I don't take advantage of it as much as I should. But it is a beast of a machine. It's awesome. That receipt, I don't know why it's doing that. So that receipt was from when we flew down to San Diego for a few days, and we stayed at a house right close to Balboa Park. And also in Balboa Park is the San Diego Zoo. And so while on the little bus ride that takes you around the zoo, we saw this little cheetah. And so if I come in here, or jaguar, a jaguar, cheetah? Anyway, I think it's a jaguar. A jaguar is a large cat and biggest of its kind in the Americas. You can distinguish from a leopard by its more muscular build and presence of spots inside the rosettes, the rose-shaped markings on its coat. Cool. Appears to be in an outdoor enclosure or zoo, likely napping or relaxed. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. What is this? Oh, What is this? So last week we stayed at a friend's place at right by Crystal Mountain, which is a ski area. We tried to use the water dispenser on the fridge, and it kept saying filter problem. So I yanked out the filter and took a picture of it so that the guy would know what kind of filter he needs to buy as a replacement. This basically says, here's the thing that you need to order off of Amazon. I got one other image here, I think. Um, what is this? A tidal glacier. Looks like a tide water glacier. Originates from a landmass and ends into an oceanic environment. Striking blue color indicates densely packed ice formed over centuries. Looks like a landscape you might find in Alaska, Norway, or Greenland. So, yep, that's totally right. And then, oh, this one was really cool. What is this? So, I had to go to the grocery store not that long ago, and this was a list that my wife made out for me of things I needed to get. Grocery shopping list includes a range of items, dairy, fruit, snacks, ready for a trip to the store. Milk, whole. Bananas, yes. Yogurt, non-fat, plain Greek, yes. Medium cheddar cheese. Cottage cheese, organic, 4% fat. Although that was an error. She wrote 4%, but apparently it's 14%. Anyway, pistachios, no. So actually, this got it wrong last time as well. Last time I tested it. But salted butter, peanut butter, oatmeal, chocolate chips, and frozen pizzas? I don't know where that came from. Let's go into the image again. So the problem was this, it thought is pistachios, possible, if possible. And I guess this dried, I don't know what it says, dried parrots, dried tacos. I don't know what that says. Dried apricots. That's what it is. It interpreted that as frozen pizzas. But other than that, that's pretty great. Gemma3 has a lot to offer. I think it's really a cool model. Yeah, I'm totally digging it. I'm gonna change this to you. I know you're not seeing it yet, but let's just do one of the questions with a few different models. So we already looked at 27B. Let's switch to using 12B, and let's switch to this one. I'm not there. Okay, well, that's fine. So now I'm on Gemma3 12B, and I'm going to ask the question without using the letter E, write a 3-sentence story. I'll generate that answer. Now it's loading up the model again because, well, we don't have this model in memory. So it might take a while. Not as long as 27B, but definitely some amount of time. And this is 12B. And it does pretty good on that. It definitely has an E in there. Let's try it again. It's got an E in there again. I don't see an E. I do see an E again, pounce. I see an E again. And I see an E again. So I'm seeing more answers with E's for that in the sentence. Let's see if it comes up with the sequence. 23 is incorrect. And here's the pattern. So it gets that perfectly right. Haiku. That was one that the 27B got wrong. Code learns, thinks, grows. 4. Mimics feeling, yet feels none. 7. Empty, full of thought. 5. So it got close, but 27 was wrong too. Code learn. Wait, isn't that the same one? Code learns, thinks, grows. It keeps doing this 4-syllable one at the beginning. Code learns and evolves. Ah, that one's 5. Code learns, then creates. That's 5. Mirroring thought, yet not real. Oh, that's good. Knowing, yet unknown. Oh, there we go. Code learns, then creates. Mirroring thought, yet not real. Knowing, yet unknown. But it doesn't have any explanation about that. And 27 did a good job of coming up with an explanation. Let's switch it to Gemma 4B and ask the same question. Let's go with the 3-sentence story. I see an E. I see an E. I see an E. I see an E. It's doing worse. So 27B, it was getting the story without E's pretty regularly, and now it's not. And now it's not even answering. Okay. Code learns and evolves. Good. 5. Mimicking a human mind. 7. Silent yet so real. Ooh, that's good. 5. 575. Code learns and evolves, mimicking a human mind. Silent yet so real. That's pretty nice. Can it do the sequence? Sequence is incorrect. It found the corrected sequence, figured out yeah, it got it great. So it can't come up with the E's. Let's try this again. Stout, tabby, stalked. Yeah, so I've tried this now, what, 5 times, 6 times? And it keeps getting E's, and so it's doing terrible on that. How about on this card deck? You would see a hexagon. No. That is interesting, but no. Were any others that are good? Apple is a fruit, as hammer is to tool. River is to water, as mountain is to land. I guess, sort of. Not really. So it definitely gets worse. Let's try the 1B model. Start that. And use the letter E. Short, stalked. So, stalked. This is the 1B model. Stalked, pounced, pursued. Yeah, lots of E's. So the 27 billion parameter model came up with it, every time it worked. But this 1B, definitely not as good. Let's try the sequence. Came up, figured out the right, well, kind of. Consecutive squares of consecutive integers. It never gives us the right answer, whereas 27 did a great job of coming up with the right answer and identifying the problem. This kind of sort of identified the problem, but not great. Did we try the haiku one yet on this one? Code learns and expands. Yes. Mimicking the human mind. Yes. Still, it doesn't feel Oh, yeah, still it doesn't feel. Code learns and expands, mimicking the human mind. Still, it doesn't feel. Cool. That's nice. Let's see, what would purple taste like? Deep absorbing purple. My brother was really into Deep Purple. The band Deep Purple. Was it Deep Purple? Yeah, it was Deep Purple. Warmth the hint of rose and plum. Thank you. Good night. Oh, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go eat some lunch. I think it's. I'm getting kind of hungry. Peckish, as my mother would say. Peckish. Um. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much. I'm gonna say goodbye. This is the part I always hate, saying goodbye. Okay. Bye. How do I end this? Let's see if this ends it.